Here we are. The screen has jumped. It's our Friday, Thursday, right before the weekend. Sports Bag Bros podcast back at you. Trav and Bias getting into the sports ASAP. Let's
What's
do it.
good?
What is good? As you already know, you don't like preseason basketball, but basketball is something we have to talk about these days. At least touch on it this preseason with all the things that have happened. And there's still news swirling around. Preseason games or game singular was played today between the Dallas Mavericks and let me see, I think it was the Minnesota Timberwolves. Dallas lost 111, 99, blah, 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 whatever. A
Yeah, well,
glorified
I don't enjoy. Oh, I don't watch preseason basketball. I probably don't even watch the highlights. But there is stuff going on that needs to be talked about, and of course, I want to talk about it. I'm not going to say, oh, it's preseason. I'm not talking about the Damian Lillard trade or Harden pretending that he's all in with Philly or John Morant.
D Rose.
Not gonna have babysitters.
Yeah, bro. Yo,
D
see,
Rose
that's
and
true,
Marcus
though.
Smart, like, hey, I ain't the one. I ain't no babysitter.
And that's
Yeah,
true.
let's get to it.
Exactly what it is. John Moran is a man of his own, and he should be. But I don't think these guys were brought in as babysitters. They were brought in as mentors, hopefully lead by example kind of players. And after what Ja had gone through last season, you would think that he would just attach himself to these guys who've been pretty upstanding in the NBA throughout their career. Derrick Rose, they talked about how similar these two games have been. And even though, come on, a prime Derrick Rose, I'm taking him over Ja. I think so. I still take him over Ja. But anyways, you know, he's just going to be the professional he's always been. He's always been one of those low-key guys with a big-time game until the injuries hit. And even then, he gets so much respect for what he probably could have done if he stayed healthy.
Right. I think they did bring him in hoping that they could influence Ja, be positive influences on Ja, but there's an age gap, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they're not going to hang out after games or before
Nope.
games or on road trips, and I think that's what they're referring to. Like, I'm no babysitter. If he's going to go his way, I'm not going to go follow him and make sure he's not getting into trouble. And I think Memphis brought those type of guys in with the thought or hope that they would have positive influence on Ja, but it may not work out that way. He may see their work ethic. He may see that they go home at night after games, or they're not at the clubs. If that affects them positively, then that's what it is. But I don't think they're going to be following Ja, making sure he's not pulling out guns on IG stories and whatnot.
I don't think he's going
I
to
know
follow
they're
him.
not. They
He
won't be
just,
there when he's doing that shit.
as you mentioned about the age gap, the generation gap, I don't know if he even follows them. It may be the new thing to do initially, kind of to keep people quiet, keep them off his back. But ultimately, he's going to do what he wants to do. Did he really learn? Because he didn't learn from the first time. Is he going to learn from the second time? Or is there going to be a third time that might be tragic for not only him personally, but the overall career in basketball? Well, that personally as well. And these two are older guys, older generation. They have families, whether they're married or not is immaterial. The point is that they've lived life. They live the NBA life, a star's life. Ja has to change scenery with the people he decides to hang with. These guys are going to be there on the court. They'll be at practice, and as you said, they're not going home with him. If he's still with the same knuckleheads who are filming him on IG, we're back to square one, and there's still opportunities for things to happen. That nonsense he did with the gun wasn't the first stupid thing he had done. He still hit a teenage kid before. He had other issues. And so I don't know if he's really gotten it together or is this too soon to say that he had gotten it together. We just can wait and see. But his history, I don't think he
But
gets it, man.
I think maybe the people around him maybe get an unfair shake, because when his friend was filming him, when Ja pulled out the gat, he stopped recording. He wasn't the knucklehead in that one. His
That's
friend
true.
wasn't the knucklehead. It was Ja himself. He was the knucklehead. I'm sure he stopped the video. He was like, "Yo, what are you doing, bro? This is You got suspended for that." And and I still think Silver went soft on him, but
Oh, he did.
25 games is 25 games is a third of the season almost. Um, so we'll see if it has a positive effect. I mean, That's what people are looking for. They want Ja to change his habits after games, or I don't know. I don't even know if it's the people he's hanging out with. Like I
It's
said, it
him.
was him. No one said, "Hey, pull that gun out, Ja," and then he just did it because he was influenced or in the moment. It was just him. He did it on himself. So
I don't I don't know what he think he has to prove doing this so-called gangster stuff. I don't even think that players are trying to be gangster today more so than they were 10, 15 years ago when it was really some type of a gangster atmosphere. In fact, the reason why David Stern made guys, and more than 15 years ago, made guys dress casually or dress up on the sidelines at the court, dressed up in suits and whatnot instead of coming with the medallions and the jumpsuits and looking like gangsters. The NBA had
trash
that
suits.
kind of they had that image at one point. You go back to the 70s, you remember that ridiculous era they had then when the championship game was tape delayed. Now, it's a different era, obviously, but now there aren't really players out there trying to prove they're gangsters anymore. They may try to one up each other with money, cars, houses, that kind of thing, even women, but they're not doing that. I'm tougher than you. I got a gun and you don't these days. He's the one doing it, and I don't know why
Right.
he's doing it, trying to prove that he's the one. Now imagine if he just put more time into his game, which is already a top level game, instead of all the nonsense on the outside. I mean, basketball is a game you can play anywhere. And I hear about how he's up there in Memphis, the Y or whatever, just picking up with dudes and playing before all this stuff became an issue.
Well, here's the thing: who is John Morant competing with when it comes to street cred? I don't see
No one.
anybody else. Like, he's not competing with anybody in the NBA. Nobody else is fighting for street cred, trying to prove how street they are, or how tough they are, how down they are, how ghetto they are, whatever. You know what I mean? He's the only one doing it.
Exactly. That's the point I was making. Years ago when Agent Zero was doing Agent No Ring, Zero Rings was doing his thing, you know, that's when the guns were in the locker rooms and they were trying to the NBA got this black cloud over it, and people looked at them as thugs, this and that. Then the tattoos came, they were even bigger thugs. Now, yeah, the tattoos are in vogue, but this isn't the reason why people are looking at the NBA cockeyed. And he's bringing this type of light to the NBA, and he didn't get the punishment I think he deserved. Adam Silver just kind of smacked him on the wrist because he is one of the young stars and trying to be the face of the NBA. You don't want a bad face of the NBA. The NBA was better when AI and others were the face of the NBA, when AI was looked at as the bad guy, the trendsetter, and changing the culture of the NBA with the tattoos and the braids and all that. But John, he just needs to just settle down. And it should be as easy said and done, because what's the end result? What is he looking for? What is the end game for him to do all of this?
Right.
For people to look at him
Well,
any different, the dude has a $200 million contract.
what is he trying to accomplish? Or look at me, I'm cool, or look at me, I carry. Or I don't know. But I also think, and I've said this before on past shows, it's Memphis. It's the Memphis culture, that
Oh,
whoop that
that,
trick
yeah.
mentality. If he went to Orlando, he's down there with Disney and Mickey Mouse. He probably doesn't do those things.
Yeah,
I
Memphis
think he
is
was
a tough city.
influenced by the Memphis culture.
Unbelievable. And he's a South Carolina guy. So we don't hear too many stories of coming out of South Carolina, any part for that matter, of things popping off in a bad way like they are in Memphis and some of the bigger cities in this country, like St. Louis, like Atlanta, like Chicago, like New York, Philly, all the bigger cities that come to the name as soon as you mention that type of person. South Carolina isn't one of those types. He didn't grow up like any of these guys. He didn't grow up like a lot of the NBA players who fought and scratched their way out of the ghetto in order to get to the NBA. He had it not handed to him, but he had a better life than most of them and still ended up in the same spot, big paycheck, and he's jeopardizing it every time he does something stupid. Now we can look forward to see if he's learned his lesson. Let's hope that he did it and enjoy the way he's playing. This is the guy I jumped on the bandwagon at Murray State because he was helping me win bets against the big teams. Oh, bro, he's not even my dude
But
anymore. I was like, bro,
so a 25 game suspension, that means he's going to have a lot of free time, more so than before during the season when he's actually playing, right?
mm-hmm.
So if he hasn't straightened out his act, it's going to go south real quick because there's a lot of people out there with phones, and you know how it is. It's the social
Everything.
media age. If he's doing something, it's going to get recorded. It's going to get out there. So hopefully he keeps himself out of those situations.
Yeah, I think those games that he does have off, it gives him a chance to just contemplate what he has in front of him and just just do what the team wants him to do. Just be a basketball player. You can still have fun. How can you not have fun with that kind of money out there? And his teammates and watching them play, let him miss the game a bit so he can get a taste of this is what you're missing. The team might go on a winning streak and do things without him like they did before when he was injured 2 seasons ago. They were winning without him and then lost when he came back. Balance things out. He showed that he was still the leader of that team. Make him miss it and let him know that if you continue on the trajectory you're on with the ignorance, there's going to be more than 25 games. It might be your entire career. Or you might run into somebody who just wants to delete your ass over stupidness, because of that. And that's even
Yeah,
more ridiculous, but not far-fetched.
right. So let's move on. How about
Yeah,
Harden?
yeah, let's move on about James Harden. How about James Harden, man? Tobias Harris says that, hey, he's here. He's expected to compete with his teammates. And they're embracing him. He has to prove that he's a star on his team along with Embiid and see if they can go and do other things deeper in the playoffs and he can be relied upon and not scoring 9 points in about 40 minutes.
Well, here's the thing. I think he does not want to be there, but he has come to the conclusion that I can't pull out the fat suit. I can't be a malcontent. I can't be a scrub and get traded because Philly has proven they're not going to just accept anything for him.
Nope.
So he's like, I got a ball. I got to show I can play. Got to show I can help a team out. They can make a valid offer that Philly would accept, and then he can get his wish and get it traded from Philly. So I think that's what he's doing. I don't think he wants to be there. I don't think he's trying to play nice. I think he came to the realization they're not going to trade me because they're not getting what they want because people think I'm a scrub or people think I'm not what I used to be. And I got to show them. So I think that's what he's about right now. And that's pretty smart on his part. I just hope that if that is what's going on and he gets traded, that he doesn't turn into a dog when he gets there. I mean, we talk about players being dogs, but I mean a dog, a runt dog, piece of
Laying
crap
down and
dog.
laying down like a dog in
Yeah,
this one.
that type of dog,
Now,
for the new team. But unless it's
now,
the
what do you
Lakers,
think he really wants to get out of there for? Does he not like the atmosphere? Does he not like the Philly fans? Or is he upset that Doc is gone and Nick Nurse is there? What do you think is the bottom line with him? He's still trying to figure out a way for him to be the man on a team and do something with it?
well, if we believe him, it's his relationship with Daryl Morey, right? Daryl Morey's a
Yeah.
liar, according to him. Um, but I don't know. Thinking back, he wanted to trade. Daryl Morey said, "Yeah, we'll trade you. Sign the extension, and that'll make it easier to trade you." So he signed, and then he didn't get traded. So that's when he called him a liar. But I think he overestimated his worth.
Yep.
That's where the problem came in. It's not that Morey didn't try to trade him. He tried to accommodate the trade. He just didn't like any of the offers he got. And people are saying the Clippers are the only team really trying, and they're not going to get in a bidding war with themselves. So if you're
Nope.
Philly, you don't like what they're offering. Sorry, James, you're still a Philly 76er, man.
Yeah, I don't like that he even mentioned about being a liar because a liar, first of all, is someone who says something with when they say it, they know it not to be true. They still say it and they try to push it along as the truth when you know it's a lie. In this case, as you already said, well, they said, we will. You signed the extension. We'll try to get you a trade, but they're not going to just take anybody. They're not
Right.
going to just take anything for you. And when they didn't find something that worked out for both teams or even just them, what was the reason to trade you? They still had you under contract. I mean, you do have an agent. You didn't do this by yourself. So if there was a game being played, somebody should have figured it out. Yeah, sign here. It's a bad look if that was the case. But when you know that they tried trading him and he's overvaluing himself, of course, his agent's doing the same, and they can't get rid of him, and he's there because there aren't any takers, at least for what Philly would like to have in return. Well, it's not a lie. It's just that you have more to prove. And at this
Right.
point, getting older, how much more are you going to prove? We saw what you
And
proved last year when it mattered most.
and he signed because that was the best way for him to get paid. If he's a
Hmm.
free agent, now he's got to go and see what kind of offers he's going to get. He wasn't going to get an offer for what he signed for with Philly. So he wanted the money. He
And he
got
got the money.
he wanted his cake and he wanted to eat it too. He got the cake. He hasn't been able to eat it yet. That's the problem.
Well, he has bigger problems because now he's in Philly. He's going to play in Philly, but now it doesn't look like Philly's going to have a shot at all after the move that was just made between the Celtics and now Milwaukee. Those two are pretty much locked in at the top. So
Yeah,
he's just going to be playing basketball for the hell of it. It
Embiid's
seems like.
saying, well, Embiid's trying to say, "Hold up, not so fast, my friend." I don't know. I don't know the exact quote, but yo, I'm sorry, Joel. The process it's over and done
The
with, bro.
process is over. He
Over
jumped
and
off
done
ship
with.
of the process a little while ago, man. Now he's trying to act like they're really still
They're
a
third.
process in
They're
place
third at best, man. They are
at
third at
best.
best
And you
in
better
the
hope that
East,
it's not.
and that's just in the East. Not even talking Western Conference teams.
Exactly. And not to mention that maybe Miami gets hot again. Another 8 seed comes out of the blue and starts beat up on him. Yeah, but yeah, he's just in a spot. And Embiid, of all people, has committed to playing for the U.S. in 2024 in Paris. They want to wipe the smile off the international basketball community to prove that American basketball is still at the top. That's what the claim is. So you're getting more and more of these players. And he chose to play for the U.S. instead of playing for his native Cameroon or France. He says because his son was born here in the United States. Okay, whatever. You are an
Yeah, but
American
I don't
citizen.
think anybody's ever accused him of being dumb.
Oh, bro, you're not getting a gold medal anywhere else. Stop playing games.
But
Play the basketball game.
I believe Steph is either considering or confirmed that he's going to play also.
I think a
So
lot
yeah,
of
you're
these.
right. I mean, word's getting around. Players are going in. Um, USA basketball took a hit this summer,
Yeah, and
so
they got beaten
they
up,
got to set things right with the world.
bro. Canada pushed
Now,
people out the door.
if LeBron plays, and Giannis plays, and Steph plays, and Booker, and Dame Lillard, and Anthony Davis, and they still lose,
Yeah, it's true,
it's
and
gonna
that's
be
the truth.
ugly, man. It's gonna be ugly.
Yeah, it's going to be ugly, but I think now with these guys that are trying to come on to the Olympic team, LeBron being one of them, as you said, Steph another one, Kevin Durant has interest now.
So
You're
there
getting
you
the
go.
big name
PG,
guys,
yeah,
and it's not like Kevin Durant wasn't there a couple of years ago, but you're getting the big names now that look like they're serious going into it. They had their chance to play in an international play with their trapezoid, which most people claim is a big problem. But now, and they now have an idea of what this fundamentally sound basketball overseas is about, which is a little bit more fundamentally sound than it is over here. Over here, it's sophisticated because of athleticism. Over there, it doesn't have to be sophisticated because when you're fundamentally sound, you just have to be good and play in
yeah.
unison and be in
It,
the same team, in which they are for like years at a time instead of an all-star team thrown together. So
right.
yeah,
It's good spacing. It's good footwork.
mm-hmm.
It's execution. Those guys play together. Not like the USA. It becomes an all star team. They don't really play together much.
Nope.
So they're kind of at a disadvantage. Although you would think they're more talented. When those teams start running their offense and you don't have good communication or you don't have a good feel for what your teammates are doing, you get caught behind the screen and now do splashing three. And that's what happened in the FIBA games.
Yeah.
There was an all star team that hadn't played together, and it looked like it.
And look at the previous Olympics, the same thing. Nigeria beat the U.S. even though it was an exhibition. Those types of teams couldn't be on the field on the same court with the American team years ago. I remember, I did a little bit of gambling with overseas basketball, and I've seen some of the worst basketball come out of freaking Africa. I mean, Ugandan basketball, at halftime, the over-under is like 15. And these guys can't score. They just aren't any good. But when you look at the way everything has transitioned to being very good from what it once was from 92 to now, Nigeria is in on the act. You have individuals from Nigeria. Dream came from Nigeria playing well like he has done. And Giannis is from Nigeria before he had gone to Greece. They're picking it up overall in the entire world. That's nothing new. They've been picking it up. I still believe Australia is the second best basketball country in the world. As far as overall players, you'll have intermittently players, like Luka coming from Europe and Joker coming from Europe. You have your players coming from Europe, but I think Australia as a whole has more players. But anyways, yeah, we need these Americans to take the smiles, kind of like the Jack Johnson thing, wipe the golden smile off his face. They were sending the white hopes out there after him. But we need to wipe their smiles off these Europeans to let them know that America still rules the roost of basketball. And someone
Yeah,
else,
hopefully, it'll be sort of like Roy Jones. Y'all must have forgot, right?
yeah, right. You got to remind these guys, and this means
Hmm.
even in exhibitions, show the same intensity in these exhibition games. Don't give these people any hope. Don't go lose it to Nigeria or even a more renowned team than Nigeria. Don't lose at all like
You,
America used to do. But
you
yeah,
know, like the intimidation factor has been long
oh,
gone.
God,
So
Mike
many
Tyson.
international players are in the NBA.
Mm-hmm.
They're not intimidated when they play in the international games now because they play alongside or they go against these guys night in, night out. There's no more intimidation factor. They know they belong. They know they can play with them. They know they can hang with them, and that resonates with their teammates.
Yeah, I mean, look at the MVPs in the NBA. You have three MVPs who aren't American born. Between MB, Joker, and Giannis, they aren't American born. They kind of let you know right then. These are guys that are considered the best players, at least for that season, in the entire NBA. Of all these stars that fly through the air and do all of these things Americans used to do by themselves, those guys from other countries are on the list and they're dominant in their capacity, not only as MVP and in Joker's case and in Giannis's case, a championship to go along with it. Another player who's looking for another championship, Drew Holiday, now with the Celtics, starts to yap a little bit, saying, "Well, I think this gives us the best chance to win. Went to a place where we have the best chance of winning." So, in other words, he didn't have a good chance of winning. He didn't have a good chance of winning with
Well,
Milwaukee, even though the past 3 seasons they led
well,
the
he
East.
said best chance,
The
best
best
chance.
chance.
There's a best chance and no chance, big difference. So I don't think. Yeah, he's throwing a shot, but it's not like a cannonball shot. It's a little jab more so because he knows Milwaukee's going to be a problem. Is but he thinks with Boston he has a better chance, and I actually agree with him. I think Boston. It's all going to depend on Porzingis, but
Yeah,
I
it's,
think Boston has a better shot at Milwaukee right now.
yeah, I think so because they have more players to do it. They have consistency at the star positions. I mean, Tatum and Brown, bro, those dudes are nasty. And even Drew Holiday talked about how Jaylen Brown is probably the best player, one of the best players he's played against in the NBA. I think that goes without saying if you watched him play at
Hmm.
all. But as far as what we're looking at in Milwaukee, Chris Middleton has a problem. His knees.
Yeah,
He's
I was
coming off
about
a
to
knee
say.
surgery, right after they got bounced by the Heat, had knee surgery. He's still thinking about possibly being ready for the start of the season. This isn't going to go away. He's getting older, and over the past 2 seasons, he's had some injury issues. This being the latest of them, having a bad knee, and he's going to be needed badly because before it was he and Drew Holiday. One was hot, the other one wasn't. They would go back and forth. Sometimes they were hot together like Wonder Twins, making things happen for the team overall. But now one is gone.
Yeah, I was thinking after I said it depends on Porzingis. I started second guessing. It could depend on Middleton.
Yeah.
If Middleton is close to 100%, Middleton can drop 30 any night of the week. He can get hot in the series.
Mm-hmm.
And you got Damian on the other side of the court. You
Bro.
got Giannis down lower filling the lane, and Middleton's lighting it up. You got major problems.
Yeah, serious problem, man. I can't wait for these two to get together because it's going to happen. Now, I think I heard that on Christmas Day they made the Knicks and Bucks game the primetime game now. Typically the Knicks play about their noon around there on Christmas, but now they're going to make it a primetime game. I'll take it whichever way I can get it. I'm not expecting a whole lot from the Knicks, at least against this team. I'm expecting the Knicks to get into the playoffs because they've gotten better than they've been over the years. But you're talking about the elite of the elite when you look at
They'll be
the
like a
Milwaukee.
5 seed probably.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. You know what? Knicks fans are just happy to get a damn playoff game and act crazy in Madison Square Garden like it's the 70s again. But Milwaukee and Boston, the class of the class when it comes down to the East. And then you still
Yeah.
have the defending champs in the West, Denver. I mean, nothing's really changed there. And they're going to still be at it. And we're going to probably look at another MVP type of performance by Joker.
Right. I just wanted to mention stay in the East for a bit here. It's it's crazy how we don't talk about the Miami Heat. You know, they
Yeah.
they went they went to the finals last year,
Hmm.
but I think it's because they haven't really added to their team. You know, how have they improved? And you can say, well, the season hasn't started yet, but training camp's right around the corner, and I don't hear much talk about this guy possibly going to Miami. They were in on my Damian Lillard stakes. They lost out on that
Yep.
to the Milwaukee Bucks. I don't know if they had a plan B. It doesn't seem like it. So they'll probably be the 4 seed, but I don't see them competing with Boston
Nah.
and Milwaukee. Like those teams have helped themselves immensely.
Exactly. And they were already above the pack to begin with. Now they add even more to the firepower and on
Yeah,
defense.
I don't see an upset next year for the Heat unless
I don't see anybody
they
doing the
add
lower seeds unless
unless
there's
they
some
make a
injuries.
big splash.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
what injuries? Yeah,
the only news Miami's making is Jimmy Butler's hair. That's it. That's what the news they're making right now. I saw one of your reels, man.
oh yeah, the Hey Ya remix. Looking
Bro,
like
what's going
Andre
on, man? Jimmy
3000.
the hair. But he's
What,
in
what?
camp now. I think he's back to Braves. So I don't know. He
Yeah,
maybe to
I'm
go back.
sure someone's like, yo, you need to change that right quick. He didn't waste no time.
Oh nah, yeah, that was a bad look. You can't even start a preseason game with that kind of dude, man. Forget the regular season. Preseason, forget
No, but
about
then seeing him like move the hair out of his eyes, like, no, Jimmy,
it.
what are you doing,
Bro,
bro?
I'm watching
Come
the
on,
soap opera
man.
here, man. Somebody's about to get a
Yo,
kiss.
man, like we hyped him up last year. He's a dog. He's a dog. You know, this doesn't change him. You know, his
Sheepdog.
character or his personality or what he does or what he is on the court. It's just the perception. You know, I wouldn't want that. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
But whatever. I mean, and he's a badass, so
Oh,
whatever.
bro, we don't,
He do whatever he
he's
wants with his hair. Screw it. Who
a
cares?
future Hall of Famer, excellent player when they need him. I just don't think that they had enough with him in order to win last season, and they were overmatched anyway. They shouldn't have gotten as far as they had gotten. That's what 8 seeds are supposed to do. Not really do what you expected them. Well, you expected them not to even get there. They're in the finals, and they got a game, but it's just that Denver, as you saw, was not a team for
Yeah.
the ages, but for last season, dominant enough to win a championship, and they did just that. So
So so getting to the West, I definitely see the Nuggets as the favorite.
mhm.
You know, the Lakers have a lot of depth. They added a lot of players, but you can only play five at a time.
That's
And
true.
so, which one of them is going to step up and be consistent? I don't know why they re-signed what's his name, D'Angelo Russell, right?
Yeah.
He was trash against the Nuggets, but they re-signed him. And you know, everybody's hyping up Austin Reeves. Austin Reeves this and Austin Reeves
Man, you
that.
better deliver,
Did
bro.
you watch the FIBA games? He was getting worked. He couldn't stop nobody. They were like, yo, mouse in the house, mismatch. Man, they weren't even putting moves on him. They were just turning around and shooting little hooks. Austin Reeves is a mismatch on the defensive end. He may hit some threes here, may have some good scoring nights, but he cannot guard nobody. He's going to get abused. You know, the word is out. He's not going to sneak up on people like he did last year.
But
Like,
we're gonna
okay,
get.
they got tape on him, right? Well, let's see. Oh, let's see the FIBA games. Yeah, we can. Yo, whoever he's guarding, take him down low.
But
He's gonna get work.
Do you think it's a different
He
style
can't
of
guard
play?
people off the dribble neither, huh?
Do you think it's a different style of play overseas than it is over here in the NBA? Was the difference, or is he just? Well, we saw who he may be in the NBA, and it could be really
I just saw
exposed
he
because
couldn't
he's a more
guard
talented player
anybody.
doing it.
They weren't doing anything special. It's not like they were running the triangle offense or running him off of screens left and right. They just threw it to the man in the post, and he got worked. He couldn't do nothing about it.
Well, maybe he works on his game as much, during the off season. Probably, you can only go as far as your talent takes you. If he's not
That was
immensely
only like a
talented,
month ago. The FIBA games were just like a month and a half
yeah,
ago.
they were.
It
And
wasn't like last year. I mean, how much work could he do?
I know how much work can you do in a month.
He,
I don't
he
know.
can't. He
Maybe you can
can't
put in the
defend.
effort. A lot of these
He
players
can't
don't put in
defend.
a lot of
He can't defend. But
players don't put in too
so
much
that's
effort.
why I'm saying it's going to come down to Phoenix and Denver. You're going to ask me about the Warriors. You're going to get the same answer. Warriors are done until they get a big man.
Chris Paul, a big man,
Until they
yeah,
get a
exactly.
decent big man.
I
They're
was
talking
still
about Draymond's hurt. He's not going to start the. He's not going to be available to start the season. So they're saying their lineup is Chris Paul, Steph, Wiggins, Klay Thompson at the 4, and Kevin Looney.
Oh,
Or
okay.
Kevon Looney. I'm sorry, Kevon Looney. Hey, no, I can't say his name wrong because he played his ass off in the playoffs last year. He had games with 20 some rebounds and
Yeah.
had a putback. So yeah, we gotta get his name right. Kevon Looney. Sorry about that. But sorry, Looney's not a great defender. And when it comes down to defending AD, Jokic, the guys that are going to dominate in the West, they don't have anybody to guard them. Nobody to slow them down. Who's going to guard KD with that lineup? Even when
Nope.
Draymond comes back, who guards KD? And you're playing Klay at the 4?
That's what I'm wondering right there. Come on, man. Oh well. I mean, what can you do? I mean, the West is going to be another one. It's not as top. You know what? I think it is more top heavy than the East. But I just think that the two teams at the top of the East are probably the two elite teams in the entire league. You know, you probably have interchangeable between Milwaukee and the Celtics, or the Celtics and Milwaukee, and then everybody else, including teams from the West. I mean,
I'm not
Denver
ready to put
included.
I'm not ready to put them over Denver though.
Which one?
I mean,
Either one of those teams?
either one, no. So
Only
let's say
because of defending
let's say
champ,
those
or you think
those are the
overall
top
is
three.
better?
Well, going off of what they accomplished last year, like they
Mm-hmm.
pretty much ran roughshod. You know, it's not their fault that the Heat made it to the finals,
Yeah,
but who's to say they weren't going to beat Boston in 5 games or beat
and that's
Milwaukee in
probably
five
true.
games? You know, you should have got to the finals if you wanted to say, oh, you would have put up a better fight. No, you wouldn't because you didn't get there.
And you know how hard it is to repeat in the NBA, though. You know, it's difficult. And with these two elite teams, at least in the East, on paper as it stands right now, you know, they have every opportunity to do it. Vegas thinks so, but they're just trying to push money, you know, futures bets. But
True,
yeah,
but I'm saying as far as talent, they still have a lot of talent
yeah, they do.
in Denver, and they put it all together last year. They may go through the motions early in the season, but around Christmas time, they're good. They'll know it's time to kick it in. And
Yeah,
come playoff time, you know, they they got Jokic and Murray.
let's just
So
hope these injuries, you know, in a perfect world without the injuries, we're expecting that to happen. Jokic and
right,
Murray, a lot like
but
last season. But it's going to be.
Phoenix, they added Bradley Beal,
Mhm.
um, and they added some depth with these trades that just happened recently. But they lost some height in Aiton. So when they play Denver, who's going to guard Jokic?
It looks like no one can guard him, man. And he doesn't
well,
do anything.
well, you gotta have somebody to slow him down, or at least make him work on the
Slow him down.
defensive
That's the
end.
problem. He's slow, but he's still getting the work done. He's
I
slowing
mean,
down.
slow down his production
His
is what I mean,
reduction, yeah.
not
This
the
dude,
speed in
man.
which he plays. But you
He put,
also got to make him work on the defensive end.
yeah.
Who
But he gets steals, man.
who's
That's
Jokic gonna
crazy. But
guard
his,
out of
his
him?
height, the dude hustles and gets steals in slow motion. He's like just stealing the ball, going on a fast break. Jokic going down the court and just ends up in the area to score. I mean,
Yeah, I
hey,
mean he's just so big though, man. He's a load, so it doesn't matter that he's going half speed. He's going half speed under control,
and he
so you
has
can't
great
stop
touch.
him from where he wants to go. Exactly.
Great touch. He has vision. He has the vision of a point guard, point center. So he knows how to get the ball out, the spacing, all of those things. He goes to the perimeter. Man, he takes his 3-pointers on occasion, and they go in sometimes, more times than you would expect from a big man. So
Yeah.
yeah, man. I mean, this is one of those NBA seasons. Last season, I wasn't really looking forward to the NBA like I was looking forward to this year, or even 2 seasons ago when all those moves were made. And I'm like, man, you can't wait for the NBA season. This is that kind of a season. Looking forward to all those guys. Now we can move on a little bit because, well, basketball is still a little bit in
Yeah, I didn't
vogue.
expect to spend 34 minutes on the NBA.
Yeah, I know, but hey, the NBA is here, but we got to run through this now. MJ and Magic disagree that Steph's self-proclamation of being the best point guard ever. You the basketball guy here. Is Steph up there with Magic at all? Should they be in the same breath, or does he still have something to do to be on Magic's level or even surpass him?
So they have two different types of games, right? Is Steph really a point guard?
I never thought he
But
was.
if that's how you want to rank him, then yeah, he's in the conversation. But when you think of point guards, you think of Magic.
Yep.
You think of Magic running the fast break or getting people in the right position, you know, calling the right play, getting it to Kareem at the right time, getting it to Worthy at the right time. You know, that he was the quintessential point guard. You think about John Stockton, the all-time leader in assists.
Yep.
Uh, the pick and roll, you can say he's a system guy, but he made that system. It's because of his skills. He and Carmelo, because his and Carmelo's skills, they were able to do it, and they couldn't stop it. So you can say, oh, all they did was pick and roll, but you couldn't stop it. So why do anything else? But he still had some. Stockton had some big time shots. He could hit threes. He sent the Rockets home, but Steph is not a traditional point guard.
Nah.
So it's like comparing apples and oranges. So it depends on what type of team are you putting together. Do you have Jordan, Kobe, KD on your team? Then you don't need Steph. You go with Magic. If you got Rodman, you
You
got
go get those
Rodman.
rebounds from the misses that do happen on
You got
occasion.
Rodman and Ben Wallace on team. Well, you need Steph. You're gonna need some scoring. It's apples and oranges, and I can't really say I picked one over the other. It depends on what type of team I'm putting together.
Well, the
If
only
I need
reason
a
why
point
this
guard, I'm taking Magic. If I need somebody who's going to score, I'm taking Steph.
Well, they're talking about the reason why it even became a point of contention or just a thought was because he was on Agent Zero Rings podcast
Mhm.
in August, and he was saying that he proclaimed himself as the best point guard ever. And I mean, hey, you know what? In this day and age, when everybody tries to feign that they're not, that they were being humble and whatnot, he said what he thought he believed. And I think there's somewhat of an argument, and someone will make an argument. I think Golden State fans may make an argument for it, they're not objecting, but they'll make an argument for it. But then Magic
I
started,
think,
he wasn't thinking about self-deprecation when he decided to talk about, hey, if you got more than 5 championships, if you got more than 3 MVP finals MVP, if you got more than this and that and all the other, number 1 in the NBA playoff history in triple doubles, then maybe you might be. This is Magic saying that. So Magic, he felt a little bit offended and had to kind of pull rank. And hey, going
yeah.
by
Well, I think Steph is coming from where no point guard can ever shoot like me, but he can also pass. Right? You see, when he makes a good pass, he goes
yeah,
down court doing this. So he probably thinks in his mind, if I had to play that way, I could. But I'm such a good shooter, I need to shoot. So that's probably why he thinks he's the best point guard of all time, because
mm-hmm.
he knows he can pass. I mean, we've seen him drop dimes, and he's saying if I had to do that all the time, I could. But I'm a better shooter than the guys I'm passing to, so I'm going to shoot it. But I don't know that he would still be as good of a passer as Magic Johnson was.
Nah, nope. I'm still looking for a guy like that. Forget about it. Magic was the man when it came out of passing that ball, just being the consummate field
I
general
mean,
on the court.
everybody was on Steve Nash and how they ran
Nash was pretty nasty at one point. For that
Phoenix.
window of time, Nash was nasty, man.
2 years, man, but he
Yeah,
was
that's
not the
that
MVP.
small
He was
window.
not the MVP. They were playing. It was like the Loyola Marymount of the NBA. Just run up court,
Yeah,
get as
up
many
and down the
shots as you
court.
could. And I'm not saying he was not a good player, but he was not the MVP. Nobody in their right mind would take Steve Nash over Magic Johnson nor Jason Kidd if you're going to run the fast break consistently, and that's your offense.
Well, hey, he got those, but damn, man, I liked watching him play, man. I understand how people upset the second time he had gotten it. The first time, I thought he legitimately had gotten it. Don't you believe?
That his MVPs were legitimate
No,
for
the
him.
first one was.
I don't think either one was.
Oh,
Neither
okay.
one was.
The first one, I thought, you know what, I can live with that one. The second one, he got more backlash for it. And I thought the first one was legit. The second one, yeah, he got backlash where he shouldn't have got it. But
I
hell,
don't.
he got more
I
voting,
don't.
man. He's just playing.
I don't. I don't remember exactly who I thought should have gotten them those years, but I recall one year I think Shaq should have got it, and then I hear talk that one year, one of his years, LeBron should have gotten it. I don't recall exactly. I just know that I didn't agree with either one.
Well, we have more than enough basketball to continue to talk about
Why
because
are we
we're gonna
still talking basketball? 40
yeah,
minutes, man.
bro, we gotta run it. Yeah, we gotta run because baseball is here. We could have easily have started off with that because there's been a lot of baseball going on. But how about this? Everybody got swept. What we got a bunch
Exactly,
of
man. That's
Canadians out there?
crazy to
What's going
me.
on, man?
Yeah, Rays got swept at home. Um, who else? Somebody else did. Someone else get
Twins
swept at
swept
home.
in
The twin.
Toronto. The
Yeah, well, the
Diamondbacks
twins,
swept the
but the
Brewers.
twins were at home. Well, I think the Rays probably the only team that got swept at home.
Yeah.
Marlins got put out right away. I hope the second round is better, man.
And the
I don't want
Brewers
to see
got
sweep.
swept out of it too. But the
Yeah,
second
that's
round
the other
matchup,
team. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
and
Brewers got swept at home.
yeah, and the second round matchups though obviously a lot better. You're talking about the division leaders they had their bye, so now they get a chance to play. And we see the Braves taking on the Phillies. I think that's going to be a hell of a series to watch.
Yeah, and the other thing is, did the bye help or hurt the Braves? They can set up their rotation the way they want, right?
Mm-hmm.
But that time off, do they
Takes timing
lose?
off.
Do they lose timing? First time going up to bat, whoa, that looked a little faster. Oh, that was a nasty slider. Maybe they're just not in sync like they were, right? Not in rhythm. Hopefully not for their case, but remains to be seen. It's possible. It's happened to other teams in the past.
Well, the Twins pretty much played in one of the worst divisions in all of baseball, and now they're going to take on the Astros, who, along with the Texans, the Rangers, the Texas Rangers, bro. I mean, those two had the same record in the Battle of Texas. Now, the Twins are going to have a chance to go down to the Astros and see what they can do there. I mean, the Astros haven't been playing that well over the past until now. They haven't been playing that well in the past like 11 games.
Yeah, that's a tough one for me. I was talking yesterday, and I want anybody to beat the Astros, but not the Twins. Screw the Twins.
And
Let's go. Let's go Astros.
you'll be an
One S.
Astros
Only
fan.
one S. Only one S.
Yeah, man. And then Baltimore, I mean, leading the NL East, I mean AL East, Baltimore getting their chance to take on the Rangers finally because the Rays started off so hot, and we talked about that yesterday. Starting off hot, the hottest team record wise to start off with. They kept it up for a little while longer, but kind of fizzled along the way. Kind of maintained for a while and went down the tubes and just became a normal team. And even though the Rays always have a pretty solid team because their management, as I always give them credit, and the scouting department bring in players from the ground floor to grassroots that just help float this franchise. They lose these players to bigger teams later on. But yeah, this time bounced out of the playoffs. And Baltimore surprised some freaking prize. I would like to see the futures bet on that in the beginning of the season. I mean, somebody's
Yeah,
gonna, yeah. I mean,
Orioles have got to be careful. Rangers, man, Simeon and Seager and those guys, they can hit the ball.
yeah.
I know the Orioles got some bangers too, but again, they had to buy. They've been off for a few days. We'll see how they come out.
But the Diamondbacks is the big surprise here, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't hear about the Diamondbacks for a long time, man. But
Well,
shoot,
the National League Central wasn't too good of a division either.
division.
So I mean, is it really that much of a surprise the Brewers got swept?
I don't know, but I'm just thinking about the Diamondbacks period because you don't hear about them too often about anything. You know, they'll start off doing well. It's kind of like the Colorado Rockies. You know, they'll do well for a while, and then you'll say, you know what, they're still in Coors Field. You know, you're still going to get about a 13, 14 run over under every freaking night. And then things fall apart for them. And then next thing you know, by the not even the quarter of a season is over, and you already see that they're not going anywhere anytime soon. Well, just thinking about the Diamondbacks, I'm still thinking about Luis Gonzalez, man. That's it. I'm serious because I still remember him getting that hit off of Mariano Rivera that was turned the television off and said it never happened. That's it. I still don't know who the champs were that year. But yeah, the Diamondbacks, always nice to see them back in the playoffs and getting something, trying to get something done. But their work will be cut out for them as the Dodgers are there again, waiting for
Right.
them. And so, hey,
Yeah,
man.
Dodgers were the class of the West, so
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
they got a tough hill to climb.
Yeah, everybody thinks it's going to be the Dodgers and Braves again, and I think the same thing. And if that does happen, the Braves, in my opinion, probably are going to win the World Series. But we'll look forward to that as there's more baseball being played. Hopefully, they're more competitive than this first round when everybody just got swept, whether you're a home team or away team. You ended
Yeah.
up as a team that was swept when it was said and done. So now, going into our weekend, college football, just for this blip of time we got going on, college football again. Coach Prime back in the news. Why? Because he has a game, not because of something he said. He just has a game against Arizona State on the road. This time, I think he wins. The 2-game winning streak should be over by the time they finish taking care of Arizona State on Saturday.
You mean losing streak?
Yeah, the losing streak. Yeah, the 2-game losing streak they had should be over after they beat Arizona State on Saturday. Arizona State is a pretty bad team.
I haven't heard. Is Travis Hunter coming back or is he still out?
He's still out from what I understand. And
Shiloh didn't
Shiloh
play
may still
last
be
week.
out.
We'll see. Um,
They played damn good last
that's
week
that's a
without
big
him.
part of their defense right there. Shiloh and Travis Hunter.
But Arizona State, just overall from top to bottom, you're talking about a bad Pac-12 team when all of these other teams were in the top 25. They weren't one of them. Arizona State just not a good team this year. In fact, they were led by Rashada in the beginning. He's now injured. The quarterback who was a true freshman who signed with Miami, then wanted to go with Florida. Well, he actually committed to Miami. Was going to sign with Florida. They didn't have the money, so he's at Arizona State. His father's alma mater, and now he's not even playing. He's injured, so it's just a mess over there. Pretty much something to stop that losing streak with, so that Colorado can get back on their winning ways, become 4-2 after this, or 3-2 after this. Four and two. They'll be all right after taking care of Arizona State, and then we talk about the Red River rivalry with Texas and Oklahoma. Now I thought Alabama would be the team that would be a real big problem for Texas until we saw Alabama's quarterbacking situation and their pathetic line at the time. Now they play in Oklahoma. This is a rivalry, so it goes beyond just who has more talent.
Yeah, yeah. Texas, they'll be kicking themselves in the ass all year if they blow this one to
Yeah,
Oklahoma, right? But like you mentioned, it's a rivalry game. Anything can happen. But Texas seems to have the horses this year.
yeah, they
They
do.
should get it done.
And it's not even a Quinn Ewers thing because uh, Quinn puts up big numbers, but he doesn't necessarily have to put up those touchdown numbers. Last week we saw Caleb Williams against Colorado, and he puts up the big numbers. He gets to 6 touchdowns and the 1 interception. Quinn doesn't have to do that. He can put up 300 yards, still get 1 touchdown, 1 pick, but then it's still going to win by 30, 40 points. But I know it's a tougher game this time around. It's the rivalry this time around, but I still see Texas winning. And there's pride on both sides. It's just that I think that Oklahoma's pretty fraudulent this year, and Texas isn't. Texas probably might not be as good as some people think they are, but for what they're doing right now, they've earned it, and they're in their spot for a reason. And I think that reason, plus being better than Oklahoma, is going to be good enough. And the rivalry.
When does Miami play Carolina?
After this Georgia Tech game in Carolina.
So next
Uh,
week?
yeah, so next week.
Oh, okay. I didn't know if I have to
Unbelievable.
be scoreboard watching.
Oh, God, I'm going to be, man, for some reason, North Carolina always has Miami's number. I don't know why, whether it's down in Coral Gables or not in Coral Gables, but down in Miami or up in North Carolina, Chapel Hill. They always just
Yeah.
happen to have their number. I don't know why. Miami gets one every now and then, but it seems like of late, North Carolina's been getting it, regardless of how much better Miami has been. That North Carolina team and Butch Davis's kids just happen to get up for him. And now with Drake May at quarterback, a future first round draft pick in the NFL, they have the horses to do it. But Miami finally has horses and a quarterback I finally trust. I didn't think he was the real deal, but he's showing the goods against solid teams, not great teams yet, but against some of those bad teams last year, he was playing poorly. Things are better these days. And then we go to Ohio State, taking on the undefeated Maryland Terrapins. Ohio State, I think, will stamp themselves as a team that's certainly needs to be in the top 4, top 3, possibly, all contingent on what happens with the Red River rivalry.
Yeah, I agree. I don't see the Terrapins posing a threat to Ohio State. But I want to talk about 49ers and what Dak's going or to do or not do.
We already know what he's not doing, winning. What's the other part?
I don't know. Um, Dallas, their defense, they put pressure on the quarterback. They cause turnovers. But Brock Purdy, he's pretty efficient. He doesn't give the ball up very much. So we're gonna have to see what happens there, obviously. But what does Dak do? Because I think this is going to be one of the games where the quarterback has to get something done for,
Yep.
for his team to win. I don't think 3 out of the 4 games, their defense dominated. They have to do much. And then when the offense was called upon, they couldn't get it done. So we'll see. And Arizona is not San Francisco.
Nope. And no dinking and dunking for Dak. He's going to have to read a defense, which he's done in the past. So I'm not acting like he can't do it. but he needs to go down the field. He needs to expose the defenses when the opportunity is there. But we already know about that pass rush. It's going to be on him. He has a hell of a line, but that pass rush will be in his face to where he's going to be uncomfortable. Can they even run the ball? I don't think they can run the ball against them either. This 49er team is a damn good defensive squad. We already know that. The front line, I'm taking my MVP from the interior and Javon Hargrave. And right now, he's getting those sacks week after week. And we already know with Nick Bosa, we don't even got to talk about him because he's just going to handle it himself. And Eric Armstead hasn't really jumped on it yet, but you expect him to eventually do it.
Right. Yeah. I'm looking at a like 23-14 game, in my opinion, for the 49ers.
Just another win for the 49ers. And it's a home game, so you got to go out there to the Bay, playing in front of those 49er fans. And I just don't – I can't say I don't believe in Dak because –
I can.
Dak or Dak. I can't say that because I'm not a Cowboy fan. I just know he's not getting the job done, but not against those guys. But yeah,
that's the thing. Like they usually have a good record. They get into the playoffs and they fall flat on their face. And you look at Dak's numbers and they're pedestrian.
Yeah,
when you need your quarterback to perform, he hasn't been able to do it.
He doesn't even run. I mean, he doesn't even get the running yards like he used to get. So it's like he's a sitting duck when things just don't work out for him. Now, I know he's a little worried because he had those lower leg injuries in the past, and there's something on his mind when you're running, obviously. But, damn, he's going to have to be able to be the field general this time for real and read this defense as it's coming because they're bringing heat. That's just the 49ers at home, and it's Dallas. It brings you back to those early 90s, man, Dallas and the 49ers. It's going to get nasty out there, and I think nasty for the Dallas Cowboys, not the 49ers. And Christian McCaffrey, he's going to skip through them like Little Red Riding Hood, man.
And if you think they handle business, they'll see each other again come January, right? So will that game depend on what happens in this game?
Well, you know what? Because the season's been extended by at least one game, I'm just looking at the ultimate injury bug is going to hit one team or the other or both. And whoever's depth is going to be better is going to be the reason why a team win or which key player does go down. If Purdy goes down, the 49ers have an issue. If Dak goes down, is there really a big, huge issue with the Dallas Cowboys? Or does Mills come in and pick and does something consistently enough to still win games? Ugly games, but close games.
I don't know. I don't know because it's not like he's replacing a quarterback who's lighting up the league, right? It's not
that's
like
exactly what I'm saying. You're pretty much not
missing
much of a beat.
Josh Allen or Tua Tagovailoa. Man, I thought I could say his name, right?
Yeah,
but or you know what I'm saying, or even Justin Herbert. Guys who can run offenses and put up numbers.
Sling it, yep. Josh Allen, all those top guys that can just sling it and look good. Speaking of top guys, that means if you go to the top, you got to eventually get to the bottom, and that's where Zach Wilson resides. And they'll be taking on the Denver Broncos. So all of this off-season bickering and all that.
Paul boy's going to throw for 3 touchdowns, man. The Broncos suck.
The Broncos are terrible.
I mean, if Wilson could play like that under the lights Sunday night against the Chiefs, a game that hardly anybody's watching against Denver, no pressure, man, he's going to throw for 3 touchdowns, at least 300 yards. Denver cannot defend.
I'm hoping that that's the case. I'm hoping that this is something. What happened last weekend, even in a loss, is the light switch that had gone off, and that he finally, in his third season, like he's supposed to have, showed some progress. Anything is better than what he's done the past 2 seasons and even the first couple of games up until last week. But here we go. Dak drops back. He looks down the field. It goes the other way. Pick 6. There he goes.
No, I don't think so. Not against Denver.
Yeah, Denver is bad.
I mean, of course it can happen. I just don't think it's likely.
Aaron Rodgers may be taking the trip. He was given permission by his doctors to be able to fly. A lot of times injured players don't fly with the team, but he's going to be allowed to travel with the team. So that may be helpful, getting some mentoring on the sidelines when things aren't quite going right. Or if they are going right, maybe a good luck charm to continue seeing those things from Zach Wilson if that ends up happening. Another game, Detroit taking on the Panthers. Bryce Young, I've been reading some articles about how people are upset with the Panthers and Bryce Young. I thought he was getting a mulligan this year. They knew they were getting a rookie quarterback, but people just, The honeymoon is
You know
over.
what they're mad about? They still suck, and the Bears have their pick. That's what they're mad about.
And that's it. You know what? They actually said that. They talked about this stuff, man. They talked about how, how much they gave up in order to get into the spot that they're in. And now look what's going on and all that other stuff. Like, look, come on, it's a process. I understand jumping the gun. Even Zach Wilson in his first season, I wasn't as critical of him at this point as I am now in his third season, or even last year in the second season. But come on, Bryce Young, first pick overall. You talked about how slight of a body he had. He has the poise. You still have to put a team around him, including in the offensive line. And one of the articles that I read, they talked about how he proved why the coaches don't have faith in him by doing this and throwing a pick or whatever incomplete pass. Like, man, the newspapers are after him too. Let the guy play. This is what happened with young quarterbacks. It happened to Peyton Manning. It happened to Drew Brees. It didn't happen with Tom Brady, but it happened with a lot of the young quarterbacks. Drew Bledsoe, just go down the list of quarterbacks who became good or even great. They went through the trials and tribulations in their first season and even their second season. That's probably why you look at that third season as the reason why you believe they're going to be good or not.
It doesn't help that C.J. Stroud is being successful either, right?
Oh, no, that doesn't help.
Look at C.J. Stroud down in Houston. How come Bryce Young can't do that?
Yeah, we could have traded for him and got him in the first pick overall, obviously revisionist history. But yeah, I still think Bryce Young, when he got drafted, I thought it was a good pick for him to get drafted. I thought he was the best quarterback in the draft. Well, the reason why I'm not a scout and the people in Houston are, and C.J. Stroud is doing his thing there. So, we'll just have to see. But if Detroit does win that game, they'll be 4-1 this season after the first 5 games. The freaking Detroit Lions with a win against the Kansas City Chiefs to boot to go on that 4-1 record. So things are looking good for them at least. But as you say, they are still the Lions. And things can happen. It is a longer season for those things to happen. So we'll have to wait and see with that as well. And then let me see. The Bears tonight, Thursday Night Football, taking on the Commanders. I don't know. I'll let you speak on this one.
30-10, same old Bears.
Same old. This is in Washington, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so. But yeah, same old Bears. I mean, Justin, he had a great 3 quarters, and then the fourth quarter, not so much. Had 2 turnovers. Same old Bears, man. They're playing the real team this week. He ain't throwing for 300 yards tonight.
Wow. Well, we'll get a chance to see about that right away and be able to talk about it just as much on Monday. And another thing I want to throw out there when it came to college football, Alabama's going to College Station to take on the Texas A&M Aggies. I think they're going to lose this game. I know people are getting a little bit hyped up because Alabama hasn't lost because they've been at home and playing not so great teams. Ole Miss, Mississippi State, not so great teams. Jimbo Fisher has these Texas A&M Aggies playing well. They did lose to Miami, but now we're seeing that Miami may be a pretty damn good team after all. And they did go down to Miami to play them. And they did put up a hell of a lot of points and did a lot of things in that game. But I think Alabama, with their quarterback issues, you can't – I always say you could have halfback option your way to a championship or a win. Well, they have this little, I guess, wishbone or running offense. That's pretty much what they're doing. They're not even trying to throw the ball too often anymore. They know what they have. You can't do that in College Station against Texas A&M. Texas A&M has a history of beating Alabama, even back to the Johnny Manziel. Now I think it happens again on Saturday night. Bama fans don't want to hear that. Come see me if it doesn't happen. But I think it's going to happen on Saturday night.
When you first said Alabama going to College Station, the first thought that came to my head was, ooh, that could be an L.
Yeah, and I think it will. And I think Vegas has an idea too because they are 1-point favorite right now on a Thursday, a 1-point favorite against Texas A&M. I just think Texas A&M gets it done against them. I'm not a Bama fan and I'm not a Bama hater. I just try to see it for what it is. And I was hoping that Bama, because you know what, even though I'm not my team is not the SEC, I'm somewhat of an SEC shield because I like great football and they typically bring it. But
I know you bring it up every day.
Yeah, because Michigan and Ohio State, I think they put their flag in the ground. Penn State now putting their flag in the ground. The Big Ten is probably the best conference this season if you're talking about top heavy.
I think after the season's done, I mean, especially if they lose to Texas A&M, Saban's going to be browsing the transfer portal for a quarterback.
Well, according to the rumors, and the rumors turned out to be true, they tried to get Tyler Van Dyke from Miami during the offseason. it was just a rumor initially. Then he confirmed that, yeah, they tried to get him, but he wanted to stay with Miami. In other words, they couldn't pry him away from John Ruiz, the billionaire down in Miami, who's funding all of this NIL money. And he stayed in Miami, and he's doing great things for Miami. They're still undefeated, and hopefully that continues up until next month against Florida State. Yeah, because that Carolina game in Chapel Hill is going to be something to think about. But hey, we close now because of that. So I'm bad. He's biased. What the hell?
I'm biased. What are you talking about?
Catching punches in the head, man. I'm like Charlo, bro. I'm just trying to make big things happen. But yeah, he's biased. I'm Trav, and this is another episode of the Sports Bag Bros podcast going into the weekend. We will see you on Monday with another weekend that have passed of basketball, football, baseball. No boxing, thank God, based on what we saw last Saturday.
We'll be trashing Dak because he's gonna throw 2 picks.
Trashing Dak, shooting dice, whatever it's gonna be. If it's a sport that's competitive, we'll do it. So
I'm sure there'll be something else funny to talk about in the NBA. Harden did bring out the fat suit or something. Who knows?
Yeah, you know what? Maybe so. We're gonna have a chance to see that because they try to do these things on the weekend so people forget. But we'll be back on Monday to remind them just in case they make that big of a fool of themselves. Tonight's game, the Bears, the Commanders in Washington. Let's see how that turns out. Until next time.
Deuce.